So it's a few days out from closing, you're super pumped to move into your new house, and your lawyer gives you a call. Hey, when you come in the next couple of days to sign all that paperwork, make sure you bring a check for $30,000. $30,000? What? What's going on, friends? Matt Carter here. Thanks for joining me today. And if this is your first time here, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so in the future you don't miss any of my content coming out. It was funny, I was going to film another video and I was putting this portion into the video and figured this is too important to pass up and to just glance over. So I decided to make its own video and go into super in-depth detail and to make sure that you understand the full costs associated with closing on a home so that you don't get left high and dry when it comes closing day. $30,000 is a ton of money. There's no way around it. So I'm going to go by step where all that money's coming from. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to assume that you're buying a $500,000 priced home in London just for the sake of simplicity and math. Okay, so starting from the top, most people know that when you go and purchase a home, you need to put a certain amount of money down, which is called the down payment. For under $500,000 home, that's 5% down is your minimum down payment that you need to put on that house. For any home that's in the price range of $500,000 to $1 million, it's 5% of that first $500,000, and then 10% of the remaining cost of the home. For anything more than $1 million, you're going to need to put down a minimum of 20% down payment. For this case, what we're going to do is put 5% down, which is a pretty common amount that most people put down on a house. So we're starting off with $25,000. Now, most people are aware of that amount, but what comes next is what kind of creeps up on people on closing day and leaves them scrambling for money at the last minute sometimes. So first one on the list is what's called land transfer tax. And this is probably going to be your biggest cost associated with closing. And land transfer tax is a tax that you pay towards the provincial government. So in Ontario, goes towards the Ontario government. And anytime you're outside of Toronto as a city, you just pay a provincial portion. Unfortunately, if you live in the city of Toronto, there's also a municipal portion. But for the sake of this video, we're going to go with just provincial since we're located in London, Ontario. Land transfer tax can be calculated using this chart, or there's tons of online calculators available. I won't go into the details, but you can do it for yourself to see exactly what your price point would cost you in the end. Going on our original example of a $500,000 home, your land transfer tax is going to be $6,475. Luckily, if you're a first-time home buyer, there's a one-time incentive credit worth $4,000, which is applied against that land transfer tax, so that actually drops it down to $2,475. The next cost we're going to get into is mortgage insurance. If you're putting any less than 20% down on your property, you're considered a high-risk loan. Therefore, you're going to need to pay mortgage insurance, which protects the lender against any defaults on your side. Mortgage insurance is calculated based on a percentage of your sale price and also in relation to the amount of down payment you're putting on a home. So for in our situation where we're putting 5% down on a home, that falls under the category of a 4% mortgage insurance, which ends up being $19,000. Now, don't worry, you're not going to have to pay $19,000 out of pocket. That actually gets tied into your mortgage. But unfortunately, you need to pay provincial sales tax on that, which is 8%, which leaves you with $1,520 payable at closing of your house. If you pay over 20%, you're no longer considered a high-risk mortgage, therefore you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. Next up is your legal fees. Now, because in Ontario and most places across the globe, the transaction of a real estate is a legal process. Therefore, you're going to need a lawyer in order to process all the paperwork and register title on your purchase of your home. These fees can vary based on the circumstances and the type of property that you're purchasing and also from lawyer to lawyer, but generally you should budget for around $1,200 for these legal fees. The next one we're going to talk about is title insurance. Title on a property refers to the legal ownership of that home and the land surrounding it. And title insurance is something that you can pay into to protect you from a variety of different situations that you may run into. These issues can include title fraud, building permit issues, and zoning issues, just to name a few. Now, while these are very uncommon to run into, the premium is quite small and can save you a lot of money in the long run if you do ever run into one of these issues. Although title insurance may be optional, most lenders do require you to pay this premium. Now, your lawyer will run this through when they're doing all your paperwork, and it's a one-time premium, and it will cost you around $400. The next one on the list that I'm going to talk about is more of a situational thing you're going to run into, and it's what's called a status certificate. Now, you're going to want to get a status certificate if you're buying a condominium. A status certificate outlines all the rules, regulations, restrictions, and all the financials of the condominium corporation which you're purchasing your condo. This should be reviewed by your lawyer, your agent, as well as yourself to make sure that you're comfortable with all the rules, restrictions, and make sure that the condo corporation is in good financial order to make sure that there aren't any expected costs going to be coming up in the future. A lot of the time what we're seeing in this market, especially recently, is most of the listing agents are actually providing this status certificate up front. So when you are going to purchase a condominium, you can request it, review it at your own leisure before you actually go and offer on the property, so you don't need to make your offer conditional on reviewing that status certificate. Even if it isn't available, personally in my business, I like to provide that status certificate for my buyer clients free of cost, just to save them some of the hassle of going through added expenses during the whole home buying process. If your agent that you're working with doesn't provide that, status certificate is only $100, and that's a fixed cost across Ontario, so don't let them charge you anything more. So the last one I'm going to be talking about today is called adjustments. Adjustments happen at the time of closing, and your lawyer will work out all of these fees. And unfortunately, I won't be able to give you an estimate of what those those adjustments will be, because it's all situational based. Adjustments account for prepaid real estate fees, condominium fees, as well as any fuel costs that the seller has previously put into the house that is going to surpass the closing date. If that is the case, then adjustments have to be made on both sides of it, and you may be getting money back or having to pay a little bit extra depending on the situation. So there you have it. With all those added expenses, it brings us to a grand total of $34,795, or $30,795 if you're a first-time home buyer. Now, you may be asking, at the beginning of this video, I said you're going to be writing a check for $30,000, or $26,000 if you're a first-time home buyer. This is because I didn't take into account the deposit check that you're going to have to write once you purchase your home. Within 24 hours of an accepted offer on a property, you have to get in a deposit check which is outlined in your accepted offer for a given amount. Now, in London, Ontario, where I do my business, the average deposit for a home is around $5,000. However, that can be more if you want to incentivize your offer a little bit more, or it can be slightly less. But on average, we're seeing the deposit is around $5,000. At the end of the day, this deposit goes towards your down payment and subsequently your overall closing costs. Hopefully this all helps you in planning and educating you in the home buying process to make sure that any of these unexpected costs don't creep up on you and leaving you scrambling on closing day. Of course, if you have any questions or need clarification, feel free to drop them in the comments below or make sure you message me and I would be happy to help you out. Until next time, thanks for joining me today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and get notified so you don't miss any of my videos in the future.